Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a moment and think about where you are right now, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Now, picture where you could be a year from today if you made just one small improvement every single day. Imagine what would it look like. You don't need a huge leap, just 1% better day in and day out. That's all it takes. We've all heard stories of people who've achieved great things. We've seen them on the big stage, heard about their success, and thought to ourselves, how did they get there? The truth is, no one achieves greatness overnight. Success isn't a sudden burst of brilliance, it's the result of small, consistent actions done every day. These small steps may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they compound into something extraordinary. Think about it, if you improve by just 1% every day, by the end of the year, you'd be 365% better than you are today. And it all starts with focusing on the process, not the outcome. So many of us set goals and then get fixated on the end result, the prize. But here's the secret: the key to lasting success is not in the destination, but in the daily commitment to the journey. When we learn to love the process itself, when we find joy in the incremental steps, that's when the magic happens. But here's the catch: growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. The things that truly move the needle, the things that make you better, often come from the moments that challenge you. The real magic is outside the safe, predictable routine, in those moments when you push yourself to do something a little harder, a little different than yesterday. One of the most powerful tools you have in this journey is the idea of tracking your progress, even in the smallest ways. Celebrate those 1% improvements. Whether it's reading a page more today than yesterday, running a second longer, or speaking one kind word to someone who needs it, these small wins matter, and they add up consistently. Now, I know many of you might be thinking, but what if I'm not perfect? What if I fail? Here's the truth: perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Striving for perfection will only paralyze you, but striving for progress, that's what pushes you forward. And when you embrace this mindset, you'll realize that failure isn't a roadblock, it's a stepping stone. So I want to leave you with this: what if, instead of waiting for some perfect moment to start, you committed to improving just 1% every day? That's it, just 1%. Don't worry about being the best today. Worry about being better than you were yesterday. Start with one small change and keep going. Soon you'll look back and realize you've made incredible strides without even realizing it. The difference between where you are now and where you want to be is often just a series of small, consistent actions. It's time to take that first step. Improve yourself by 1% today and keep that momentum going. And tomorrow, do it again. It's a daily practice, one you can commit to, no matter your circumstances, because if you improve just 1% every day, the person you'll become a year from now will astonish you. Let me ask you a question: how do you eat an elephant? The answer is simple: one bite at a time. It might sound like a quirky metaphor, but it holds a profound truth about how we approach growth in our own lives. We often look at our dreams, our ambitions, or even the obstacles we face, and we see them as this massive, insurmountable thing. The journey seems overwhelming, and the gap between where we are and where we want to be can feel impossibly wide. But the truth is, the road to success isn't built on giant leaps, it's carved out by the small, seemingly insignificant steps we take each day. Think about a seed, a tiny, unassuming speck of life buried in the dirt. You may not see anything for days, weeks, or even months, but what's happening beneath the surface is a miracle in motion. Little by little, day by day, that seed is growing. It's expanding its roots, pushing up through the soil, gathering the energy and nutrients it needs to become something greater. And then one day, it breaks through the surface, a small sprout, a new life. In much the same way, the journey to self-improvement isn't about overnight transformation. It's about the power of incremental growth, just 1% better every day. That's the secret. You don't have to radically change your life all at once. You don't have to be perfect, and you certainly don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to make a commitment to do one thing, just one small thing each day that moves you in the direction you want to go. Imagine if every single day you decided to improve by just 1%. That might look like reading a single page of a book, making one healthier food choice, taking 5 extra minutes to meditate, or learning one new skill. It doesn't matter how small it seems in the moment. What matters is that you're showing up, consistently making that small investment in your future. And over time, trust me, those 1% improvements begin to compound in ways you could never have imagined. At first, it might feel insignificant, like it's not enough, but let me tell you, small, consistent actions can lead to extraordinary results. Think of a drop of water falling into a bucket. One drop doesn't seem like much, right? But over time, as more and more drops collect, that bucket begins to fill. One drop at a time, it's getting closer and closer to overflowing. This is how growth works. It's not about rushing the process or looking for shortcuts. It's about embracing the journey, trusting that each small effort is building the foundation for something greater. When you begin to make progress in tiny increments, you'll realize that the results you're seeking aren't some distant dream. They're already in the making, one small step at a time. We've all heard the stories, the ones about people who seem to pop up overnight with success, fame, or fortune. It feels like they woke up one day and boom, everything fell into place. Maybe they released a viral video, won an award, or launched a product that instantly took off. And in that moment, it's easy to believe the myth that success is something that happens in an instant, that it's something other people are born into or lucky enough to stumble upon. But here's the reality: the stories we hear are only the highlights. They skip over the years of struggle, failure, and incremental progress that happen behind the scenes. Take a moment and think about someone you admire, someone who has achieved something great. Now ask yourself, what did you miss? The sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the countless failures that never made it to the headlines. It's easy to forget that true success is rarely the result of a single moment. It's the accumulation of countless, often invisible efforts made over time. The person you admire didn't wake up one day with a fully formed dream. They worked tirelessly, day by day, putting in the effort long before anyone knew their name or recognized their face. This myth of overnight success can be so seductive because it taps into the idea that we don't have to work as hard, that there's a shortcut to the top. But here's the truth: there is no shortcut. The real journey is long and sometimes grueling, but every small step you take, every bit of progress you make, no matter how seemingly insignificant, adds up over time. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't luck or talent, it's persistence. It's the willingness to show up every day, no matter how many times you stumble, and keep moving forward. Think about the people we admire most, the ones whose names are etched in history. From athletes to artists, entrepreneurs to innovators, none of them arrived at their peak in a flash. Michael Jordan didn't become the greatest basketball player in the world because of a single game. He became that through hours and hours of practice, through rejection, through setbacks. Steve Jobs didn't create Apple because of a singular genius idea. He built it over decades of trial, error, and relentless pursuit of something he believed in. Their overnight success was anything but that. The truth is, success is more like a marathon than a sprint. It's about the long haul, the day in, day out grind, when the world doesn't see you and when no one is cheering you on. But the magic happens when you keep pushing through, when you refuse to buy into the illusion of quick fixes. And while others are waiting for the perfect moment or the right opportunity, you're quietly putting in the work. So, the next time you feel like you're falling behind, or when you get frustrated that you're not seeing immediate results, remind yourself that you're not failing, you're building, you're growing, you're setting the stage for your own version of success. And while others may be waiting for that lucky break, you're quietly stacking the bricks of your future, one small, deliberate action at a time. There's something almost magical about consistency. It's one of those concepts that seems deceptively simple, but when put into practice, it holds the power to change everything. We often get distracted by big, dramatic changes, the kind of transformation that makes headlines. But the real power, the real secret lies in showing up every single day, no matter how small the action, no matter how insignificant it might feel in the moment. Consistency is the quiet force that turns the impossible into the possible, the unseen engine that drives success day after day. Think about anything that has stood the test of time, whether it's a towering mountain, a river carving through rock, or a tree that has grown tall and strong over decades. None of these things were built in a day. They were shaped through gradual, consistent forces that, over time, create something monumental. Success works in much the same way. It's not about waiting for the moment when everything falls into place. It's about committing to the process, trusting that your daily efforts, no matter how small, will add up in ways that can't be immediately seen. Consider the simple act of planting a seed. When you plant it in the ground, you don't see the roots growing beneath the surface. You don't see the small changes happening in the soil, but you trust that they are. And day after day, you water it, care for it, and give it the sunlight it needs. Over time, that seed breaks through the soil and begins to sprout. If you had given up after a week, or if you'd stopped watering it because you couldn't see any immediate results, that seed would never have grown. It's the same with our own growth. We often want instant results, but real transformation takes time, and that time is built on a foundation of consistent effort. When we show up consistently, even when we don't feel like it, even when it feels like we're not making a difference, we're laying the groundwork for something greater. The most successful people don't have special talent or some unique gift that sets them apart. They have discipline. They have the ability to keep going when things get tough, to stay the course when others give up. They understand that success doesn't come from a single act of brilliance. It comes from hundreds, thousands, and even millions of small, consistent actions performed over time. You see, it's easy to get excited at the beginning of a new goal, a new project, or a new habit. We start with energy, enthusiasm, and optimism. But what truly separates those who succeed from those who don't is the ability to stay consistent when that initial excitement fades. It's the ability to keep working when no one is watching, when no one is applauding, when the rewards don't seem immediate. But in those quiet, consistent moments, you're building something powerful. You're building your future. Think of a runner training for a marathon. They don't go out and run 26 miles on their first day. They start with shorter distances, building up stamina over time. Every single step, no matter how small, is bringing them closer to their goal. They don't expect instant results, but they trust that every run, every drop of sweat is moving them forward. They understand that it's not the big moments that matter most, but the thousands of little decisions made along the way. It's the same in life. The key to success lies not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, consistent acts of effort that build the life we want. Whether it's in our work, our relationships, or our health, the small daily commitments matter more than we often realize. Each action you take, no matter how tiny, is creating momentum. And with enough momentum, even the most challenging goals become achievable. The truth is, success isn't something you achieve in a single grand moment. It's something you build piece by piece, action by action over time. And it's the power of consistency that will make all the difference in how far you can go. So the next time you feel discouraged, remember this: the key isn't in doing something amazing today, it's in doing something meaningful every day. Keep going, keep showing up, and trust that your consistent efforts will build the future you desire. When we set out to achieve something, it's easy to get fixated on the end result. We think about the destination, about what success will look like once we've arrived. We dream of the moment when we've reached the summit, when we can say, I did it. But here's the thing: if all you focus on is the outcome, you're missing the most important part of the journey, the process itself. The truth is, success isn't a destination, it's the series of steps you take to get there. It's the work you put in every single day, the commitment you show to the grind, and the growth you experience along the way. Too often we measure our progress based solely on what we can see at the end of the road. But when you focus too much on the outcome, you can easily become discouraged by how far you still have to go. You'll be constantly comparing where you are to where you want to be, and that comparison can feel overwhelming. The real key to long-lasting success is not in the perfect end result, but in the daily habits, the small wins, the effort you put into the process. It's about falling in love with the journey rather than being fixated on the finish line. Take a moment and think about something you've mastered in your life. Maybe it's a skill, a craft, or even a relationship. What you'll realize is that it didn't happen all at once. You didn't wake up one day and just know it all. It came from practice, from trying, failing, learning, and trying again. It was a process of incremental improvement. And while the end result might be satisfying, the real fulfillment comes from the progress you made along the way. The satisfaction isn't just in the victory, it's in the commitment to improve, to grow, to push yourself further than you did yesterday. When you focus on the process, you embrace the idea that growth happens in the doing, not just in the achieving. It means understanding that every step, no matter how small, is part of the bigger picture. When you stop focusing solely on the outcome, you give yourself permission to fail, to learn, and to adjust. You're no longer driven by the fear of not reaching the goal fast enough. Instead, you're driven by the excitement of the progress you're making in the moment, knowing that the results will come as a natural consequence of your effort. Think of athletes, for example. They don't just train for the championship. They don't just think about the gold medal. They show up every day, focusing on the next practice, the next set, the next sprint. They're obsessed with refining their technique, improving their speed, and strengthening their body little by little. And while the gold medal is the outcome, the true victory lies in their dedication to the process, in their commitment to the daily grind. The outcome becomes a natural result of their focus on the process. Same applies to us. We often get so fixated on the results that we forget to appreciate the growth happening in real time. If you're building a business, for instance, it's easy to get discouraged by how far away you are from your financial goals. But if you shift your focus to improving your product, understanding your customers, and refining your skills, the results will come. If you're working on your health, the goal might be to lose weight or run a marathon, but focusing on what you can do today, making healthier choices, moving your body, and building habits will take you much further than obsessing over the number on the scale. There's a certain freedom that comes when you embrace the process. You let go of the pressure to be perfect, to achieve everything immediately. You start to realize that every day is an opportunity to grow, to get a little better, and to learn something new. And when you stop, if you want to grow, if you want to evolve, if you want to truly become the best version of yourself, then you have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. I know it sounds like a cliche, something we hear all the time, but there's a reason for that. It's absolutely true. Growth doesn't happen when you're in a place of ease, where everything is familiar and safe. Growth happens in the discomfort, in the places that challenge you, that make you stretch, that force you to expand your limits. Think about the moments in your life that truly shaped who you are. I'm willing to bet that they weren't moments when you were sitting back, relaxed, in control. They were the times when you took a risk, when you faced a fear, or when you pushed yourself to try something you weren't sure you could do. Maybe it was applying for a job that felt out of reach, or giving a presentation when you were terrified of speaking in front of others. Maybe it was starting a new project, learning a new skill, or standing up for something you believed in. In all of these moments, you stepped outside your comfort zone. And it's in these moments that the magic happens. When you stay in your comfort zone, you're in a place where everything is predictable. You know exactly what to expect, and while that feels safe, it's also limiting. Nothing new or exciting can happen when you're always in control, when you're always doing the things that feel easy and familiar. Think about it. If a plant stayed in the same small pot, never being moved to a larger space, it would never grow. It would never reach its potential. It would just stay stagnant, contained, forever confined to the space it's in. We are the same way. We need to stretch, to take ourselves to places that challenge us so that we can grow beyond what we thought was possible. The discomfort that comes from stepping outside your comfort zone is exactly what fuels growth. It forces you to learn new skills, to adopt new ways of thinking, and to approach challenges differently. It builds resilience, teaches you how to overcome fear, and strengthens your character. Every time you push yourself to do something that feels uncomfortable, you become a little stronger, a little more capable, a little more confident in your ability to tackle whatever comes next. Growth is not easy. It's not meant to be. If it were, everyone would be doing it. But that's why it's so rewarding. It's because it requires courage, persistence, and a willingness to face the unknown. It means taking risks without knowing for sure whether you'll succeed. It means putting yourself in situations where failure is a real possibility, but where success, when it comes, will be even sweeter because it was earned through the struggle. When you step outside your comfort zone, you'll inevitably face moments of doubt. You'll question yourself, wonder if you're good enough, or if you've made the right choice. That's natural. But those feelings of discomfort, they are signs that you are growing. They are proof that you are moving in the right direction. The most successful people, the ones who've made the greatest impact in the world, are not the ones who stayed safe, who always played it safe. They are the ones who dared to venture into the unknown, who took risks and learned from their failures, and who emerged stronger, wiser, and more capable because of it. And here's something that's important to realize: stepping outside your comfort zone doesn't mean you have to make drastic, life-altering changes overnight. It's not about leaping into something that feels completely foreign to you. Sometimes growth is about taking small, consistent steps into discomfort. It's about doing things that challenge you, but in a way that feels manageable. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting when you usually stay silent, or learning a new skill that feels intimidating but is within your reach. The more you do this, the more you'll find that discomfort is no longer something to fear. It becomes a signal that you're on the right track, that you're moving forward, even if it feels like it's a struggle. So I challenge you: find the discomfort in your life, seek it out, embrace it, because it's in that space, the space where you feel. Too often, we get so caught up in the bigger picture that we overlook the small victories, the little wins that happen along the way. We get fixated on the final destination, the massive goals, and forget that success is made up of thousands of small steps, each one contributing to the bigger journey. The truth is, measuring progress is not about looking at the grand result every day. It's about celebrating and acknowledging the small wins, because it's those little moments that add up to make all the difference. Imagine for a moment that you're running a race. You're looking ahead, focused on that distant finish line. But every step you take, every breath you inhale, brings you a little closer to that finish line. Each stride, each moment of effort is a victory in itself. You don't wait until you cross the line to feel proud. Every step, even when it feels tiring, is an achievement. It's easy to overlook this when we're too focused on what we haven't yet accomplished, but in reality, every small action you take brings you closer to your goal. The key is to shift your focus from the overwhelming vision of the end to the satisfaction of what you're doing right now. Have you made progress today? Have you taken one step toward your goal? No matter how small. These small wins matter. They are the building blocks of the future you are creating. When we celebrate them, even if they seem insignificant, we're giving ourselves the motivation to keep going. Think about how you'd feel if you learned to celebrate the small things. Maybe it's writing just one page of that book you're trying to finish, or sticking to your workout routine for another week, or learning one new thing each day. These may not seem like monumental victories in the moment, but together they begin to add up. Over time, you'll look back and realize that those small wins were the fuel that kept you moving forward, even when the larger goals seemed far out of reach. Small wins also give us confidence. When we take the time to recognize them, we acknowledge that we are making progress, that we are capable of moving forward, even when the road is tough. And it's that confidence built from those little moments of success that drives us to take on bigger challenges, to push through obstacles, and to keep striving toward our goals. Each small win serves as proof that we're not stuck, that we are indeed making progress, even if it's slower than we'd like. What's more, celebrating small wins builds momentum. The more you recognize and appreciate what you're accomplishing along the way, the more energy and enthusiasm you'll have to continue. The human brain thrives on reward. So when you celebrate even the smallest of victories, you're wiring your brain to stay focused and motivated. It's like feeding the fire of progress, one spark at a time, until it becomes a blaze of achievement. And here's something important: these small wins are often the things that others don't see. No one else might notice that you spent an extra 10 minutes practicing, or that you decided to stick with your plan even when things got difficult. But you notice, you know the effort you put in, and that recognition is powerful. It's a reminder that you are in control of your growth. It's a message to yourself that you're capable of more than you think, that every step, no matter how small, is moving you closer to your dreams.